Hello, welcome back. My name is Tesfayon Show. This is the sixth video in a series of videos for study methods. In our last video, we have seen how to organize notes and lectures in a different ways so that we can make them memorable, we can make them easy to remember. In this video, we'll continue on that organizing notes. And this organizing part of a studying method is very, very important because unless we organize information, it is really hard to remember them. But there are ways we can organize notes. You can go back to my previous video and see and continue benefiting from this video as well. And this we continue, as I said, on organizing notice so that we can easily remember them. Um, so one of the ways to organize videos that in the previous video we have seen that charting is one way. We create charting or we create images so that we can easily remember because we remember images than texts. So to make them like kind of image or visual, we use charting of different methods so that we use different charting for different concepts like for centrality, for relationship, for networks, for information, so for different branching. For example, when we have categories in information, so we see some examples from there. Here we use association. This is the most important concept in study methods. We associate things. Normally, this is how we actually um, our mind try to organize information. But when we actually deliberately we do that, this is really very helpful to remember. So when we um, associate, we put things um, across informations into similarities, or we attach events, time, people, color, and so on, objects to different concepts. That association help that concept. Actually, when we said concept by definition is a void of matter, void of material, void of any kind of that help us to remember. It's a very pure idea. But when we attach that concept to material world, to something that we know, that we remember, to experiences, we can simply remember them. So the way we associate can be a mental process, as I said, or just we can physically associate our notice. There are these methods used in lots of books and in the way we used to process information that we're going to present to you. And if you don't know, I'll let you know. And if you don't, if you know it already, I'll just remind you. Um, one of the mental processes is we talked about is chunking, putting similar informations into one central idea, creating a map, a chart in the mind. Um, so chunking is obviously putting similar or related informations to make a more larger, wider, deeper idea or knowledge. That's how we create actually. So we can chunk things in different in a country, in a place, in a purpose, in a shape, or any kind of similarity that we chunk informations into one, and then we learn from that, and then we learn and we save that. assimilate that, we accommodate that, we keep that information, we store it, and we use it as a knowledge, as our own experiences. And then, actually, for study purposes, once we know it, we know it. If we know it, we know it, so we never forget it. So chunking in the process of creating knowledge, actually, or idea, forming idea, or understanding, and then a knowledge that we can use and remember it. So this is a very nice way to remember notes, for example, for examinations. The most important other one is physical associations. I'm sure you know those. This is a kind of a mechanical association, a physical association of ideas, facts, and the concepts, like acronyms and acrostics. Acronyms are just like UNICEF. The word, the first word, the first letters of a word, like UNICEF, UN, EU, and so on. That we don't have to remember everything, and some of them are global. UNICEF is global. If you say UNICEF or UN or UNHCR, nobody asks us what is that. Everybody knows that, even though it is a long explanation to that. Nobody asks what is UNICEF, for example, or what is UN, what is EU. We know what it is. So that is acronyms. We can create our own acronyms. It doesn't have to be global. When we write on a note on exam, we don't have to write those. But to remember our own note, we can create many acronyms as we like to. Then we use them to remember. I can create my own funny, fancy acronym, even using my own name or somebody I know or thing I know, and then that will help me to remember that note. And then when I reply to my exam, I can explain those one by one. So that is one way. These are the acronyms we know, like SMART objectives. This, if you go to planning or some kind of business area, this comes now and then. SMART objectives. SMART is a word by itself, but when they say SMART, it's a very measuring unit for objectives. The objective should always be smart, they say. Well, smart doesn't mean the smart word itself, but it is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Any objective should be like that. I'm not going to teach you about objectives, but I'm teaching you about remembering stuff, And if you have been in physics classroom, you must know this: the seven colors of a rainbow. Yeah. So you can create your own, but the most common things are this. And in the books, you can find this. The first one is the name of a person, Roji Beev, Vabichior. This is the one I knew long ago. And the second one, Richard of York, gave battle in Vietnam. Sorry, it used to be in Vietnam, or in Vietnam here. But here is what it means. Uh, Making a note shorter and also rememberable. The seven colors of a rainbow should be with that order, that never be switched or violated. It should be in that order. So we need to make that the first letters of every color to make a kind of memorable stuff, so that we can remember that and write that. This is one way we can organize our note. No rules for that. No, we can create our own. As I said, we can create our own acronyms. Um, and sorry, what is it? And we can also create like our own fancy way of saying it, like group strategy skills, methods involve those activities. For example, SQ3R. So there are three R's. The last three R's are one by one. Um, it actually used the number. Three is not a number there, but it is counting the R's. So the three R's. Actually, if you remember of the three R's in primary schools, the whole purpose of primary schools is called the three R's: reading, writing, and arithmetics. Three R's. And we can organize, we can create our own acronyms and study those acronyms and make them memorable, remember them. And in the exams, we don't write. If the teacher asks, "What are the three? What are the four, five? Sorry, five um, study skills involve?" We can't say SQ3R. We have to remember what S stands for, Q stands for, and all the three stands for. And it is easy to remember SQ3R, and then we can write a survey, questions, read, recite, and review. So this is a very, very useful concept that we have to use them, because in universities, for example, there are lots and lots of contents that we deal with, and most of them are complex and they're fast as well. Unless we summarize them and organize them as such, it is really hard to remember. We'll finish this here. Thank you for attentions. If you have questions and comments, please do below. Um, you can also subscribe if you want to follow on this information. There are lots of videos on this coming up. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.